You have to take the lead, not always following, but leading the pack, leading in the right direction, doing the things that will take you to the levels that you need to go and beyond them. But you can't hold back anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, you got the job, but that's not enough. Don't relax. Don't settle. You got to get bigger, stronger, and faster. You got to get better. You got to make sure that your work ethic, getting that job is just the beginning. That's not the end. You want to live your dreams. You are beginning a legacy.
Be open to doing something completely different. Be open to admitting the possibility that you could be wrong and doing something completely different. And what that does is it opens up your mind and your perspective so you can see all kinds of possibilities that you may not have seen before.
And maybe everything's okay for you and you don't need to. But if you need to make some changes, I'm telling you, you can start doing it today so that the next 2 years will be drastically different than the last 2.
When you're standing on the cliff of life and you see people soaring by, when you see people soaring, going to exotic places, you hear about them doing wonderful things. Maybe you look up the street and your neighbor just gets a car every year and every 2 years. Well, how is he doing that? Have you ever thought, maybe this person right here has identified their gift and is living in their gift? Says your gift will make room for you.
The first 6 years of my economic life, I wound up broke. Second 6 years, I wound up rich. You say, well, the Democrats must have finally gotten power. No. No. It was not a political change. Here's what changed the second 6 years of my economic life. It was my philosophy that changed. The set of the sail of better thinking, correcting the errors of the past and picking up new disciplines for the future. That's all I had to do at the end of the first 6. Correct the errors of the past and then pick up some new disciplines for the future. And my total life changed. The second 6 years was totally different than the first 6 of my working life. And guess who can do that? Anybody. We can all get better. I've gotten better. First talk I gave, I stood up, my mind sat back down. But here's the secret to my success. I stood up and did it again. Stood up and I did it again. And I did it again and I did it again all those many years ago. I did it when I was scared and I did it when I didn't want to and I did it when I was ill. And I did it when it didn't work well, and I did it when they didn't appreciate it, and I didn't a lot of times when I didn't know much what I was doing. I just did it anyway. I got better day by day and week by week, month by month, and I'm asking you to do the same thing until you can develop a long arm and a long reach.
When everybody's telling you you should rest, you should be working. Because if you're resting, then you're taking away your best of yourself. Now, I'm not telling you to commit suicide and bury yourself in your work. There is always going to be a time and place for everything. But what is everything? What is everything to you? And how far are you going to give yourself more? How much more are you willing to give of yourself?
Fill your mind with brave dreams so there is no room for petty worries. An idle mind, it's not my idea, it's a very old proverb, but the idle mind is the devil's workshop. You see, if you don't know your mighty mission, if you don't have these brave ideals that you're waking up in the morning, yes, at 5 a.m. while the world is asleep, and living your days for, if you have not found a crusade that is larger than your life, then what tends to happen is you fill the space and hours of your days with trivial and superficial pursuits. You worry about what the neighbor thinks. You misunderstand the way someone looks at you. You make everything some kind of you become an injustice collector when most people aren't even saying anything or doing anything against you. But that's what happens when you have a mind, a heart, a spirit that doesn't know a cause that's larger than yourself. And that's why a sense of meaning, whether you are a lawn cutter, a pizza maker, a coder, a manager, a leader of a nation, you've got to fill your mind and your heart with noble pursuits that speak to the angels of your higher powers. And once you start doing that, and that doesn't just mean knowing your mighty mission, it also means the people you follow on social media, the magazines, whether they're digital or terrestrial, that you read, the books you read, the people you associate with, if those people are full of inspiration and artistry and they want to release their magic to the world and they want to do good things and their talk is robust and thoughtful, then that's going to lift you up. It's going to fill your whole internal ecosystem with positivity. But if you're around energy stealers and thought bandits and people who are playing victim and giving away their power to the economy or through all the disruption in the world or to their past, well, then you're going to be surrounded by powerless people who will then demean your primal glory so you too become powerless. And the key to productivity is simplicity. Don't try to do even 5 main projects or Taj Mahal worthy projects or Sistine Chapel ceiling masterworks. Focus on one. Don't try to have 50 friends. Focus on a few good friends. Don't fill your days with so many activities. Fill them one key work activity when you're working. It's so easy to give away your genius to digital distractions, to be checking your messages. You could be in flow state. That's a term coined by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi when he was at the University of Chicago to speak to that state of transient hypofrontality. We go very, very deep into the neuroscience of mastery and how the superstars achieve exponential productivity and how you dominate your domain in a world of turbulence and uncertainty in my mentoring in the Circle of Legends monthly digital coaching program. And if you're interested, all the information is below. But for now, I just want to remind you, you are at war. A war against distraction, interruption, and digital diversion. A lot of people are losing the best days of their finest hours, or I should say the best days of their lives. Just being busy, but not being productive. And that's a key point I want you to really contemplate and meditate on, which is please don't confuse busyness with productivity. Please don't confuse movement with mastery.
If you make a vision board with your house on the ocean or you at the stock exchange ringing the bell, and that's all that you have on it, science says that that vision board will become a source of profound discouragement. Because over time, as you sit there and stare at your dream house or you ringing the bell at NASDAQ and nothing in your life changes, you start to feel further and further and further away from what you want, which makes you feel further and further discouraged, which means you're less and less motivated to even begin working on it. Like the hardest part for everybody is to start. And the reason why is not only the patterns of procrastination and anxiety and stuff that you get trapped in, but it's also because your goals feel so far away that you don't believe that just starting is going to even chip away at it.
Your beliefs are merely habitual thinking patterns that you learned as a child. Many of them work very well for you. Other beliefs may be limiting your ability to create the very things you may say you want. What you want and what you believe you deserve may be very different. You need to pay attention to your thoughts so you can begin to eliminate the ones that are creating experiences that you do not want in your life.
Paying attention is being present, and it's a skill. And you know when someone's present with you in your life because they're paying attention to you. And you know when they're not present with you because they're not paying attention to you. So then imagine you're going to create and you're not present. How could you miss the moment of creation? You then are in the known. You're in the familiar past or the predictable future. So that sweet spot of the generous present moment, if you keep practicing overcoming your body, overcoming the conditions in your environment and overcoming that predictable future and the familiar past, and you keep working for the present moment, you are going to develop the habit of being present. And if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and you're in the present moment, you got a lot of energy to use. You got a lot of energy to execute. You got a lot of energy to design a destiny.
Therefore, we should be responsible for everything that we create by being responsible for that which we think. Because the thought processes are what are driving the behaviors. People behave the way they do because they have certain belief systems embedded in the mind and running like a program. Their thoughts and their emotions are driving their actions.
Your successes fuel your ambition. Your successes give you extra energy. Your successes pave the way for more successes. It's the snowball effect. With one success, you're excited to meet another, and another, and another. And pretty soon, the disciplines that were so difficult in the beginning, the disciplines that got you going, are now part of your philosophy.
The treasure house within you. Infinite riches are all around you if you will open your mental eyes and behold the treasure house of infinity within you. There's a gold mine within you from which you can extract everything you need to live life gloriously, joyously, and abundantly. Many are sound asleep because they do not know about this gold mine of infinite intelligence and boundless love within themselves. Whatever you want, you can draw forth. A magnetized piece of steel will lift about 12 times its own weight, and if you demagnetize this same piece of steel, it will not even lift a feather. Similarly, there are two types of men. There is the magnetized man, who is full of confidence and faith. He knows that he is born to win and to succeed. Then, there is the type of man who is demagnetized. He is full of fears and doubts. Opportunities come and he says, I might fail, I might lose my money. People will laugh at me. This type of man will not get very far in life because if he's afraid to go forward, he will simply stay where he is. Become a magnetized man and discover the master secret of the ages. What, in your opinion, is the master secret of the ages? The secret of atomic energy? Thermonuclear energy? The neutron bomb? Interplanetary travel? No, not any of these. Then what is this master secret? Where can one find it, and how can it be contacted and brought into action? The answer is extraordinarily simple. This secret is the marvelous miracle-working power found in your own subconscious mind, the last place that most people would seek it. You can bring into your life more power, more wealth, more health, more happiness, and more joy by learning to contact and release the hidden power of your subconscious mind. You need not acquire this power, you already possess it, but you want to learn how to use it. You want to understand it so that you can apply it in all departments of your life.
The mind is the center of the soul. What is the soul? The soul is an integration of three parts. Please write this down. The soul is the integration of the mind, the will, and the emotions. In other words, those three things make up your soul. What is your soul? Your mind, your will, and your emotions. So your feelings are in your soul. Your decision-making power is in your soul. And your mind, your thinking bank, is in your soul. That makes your soul the most important part of your life. Let me explain why. The battle in life is for the soul of man. The Bible says, he that winneth souls is wise. Now, why did Jesus say that? You see, winning a body is no problem. Even winning a spirit is easy. You get born again in seconds. But winning your soul is a tough job. My job as a teacher, And a communicator is to work on your soul. I am after your soul. I want to win your soul. I've already won your body because you're here. And I already won your spirit because you want to find God. But winning your soul is a tougher job. Because winning your soul takes a longer time than winning your body and your spirit. You are born again in a second, but trying to get you converted is a tough job. So the battle is for what? Your soul. The soul of the people, the soul of the nation, the soul of your children, the soul of your spouse, the soul of your entire job. Your soul is in trouble. The attack is against your soul. I want you to get this message. Write this down. The soul is the first component of media created by God. Why is the soul the first component of media? The soul is a media because the soul is the mediator between the spirit and the body. The soul is the most dangerous part of your life. Matter of fact, your spirit is not your problem because you are a spirit. But your soul is your problem because your soul is the one that dictates what your spirit receives.
Look at all the things that you could do and ask yourself, do you want to win? You see, to win is to know what's important now. The challenge is to just get started. Not now, but right now. Bring on the resistance. Bring on the challenge and allow yourself to have the feeling of elation when you've got started and you've done something that you said that you were going to do. And the more you do this, the better you will feel, the more adept and the stronger you will become at moving through the resistance that we all face. You see, how you do anything is how you do everything. And the fact is, it all comes down to one thing. That one thing is choice. And what's the easiest choice to make? Well, the easiest choice to make is to choose what you've chosen before. And if you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always got. Ultimately, your attention is your superpower. Your attention to focus on now what needs to be done. And this is the difference between success and failure.
When you're focusing on something you can control, you're not having a negative thought, even if you're dealing with negative information. When you're seeing yourself focusing on things you can't control, that's when you don't want to be. Anytime a thought comes into your mind, I want you to stop and ask yourself, can I control this? If the answer is yes, go right in and get involved. If the answer is no, gather the information and then switch over to focusing on what you can control.
I always focus on not how I feel before something, but how I feel after. The things that are good for you will feel bad before and good after. And the things that are bad for you will feel good before and terrible after. And so I'm more focused on how can we be healthy. We want mental health. We want physical health. I want relationship health. Like health is more important to me than happiness because health creates happiness.
Progress equals happiness. If you keep growing, you're going to feel alive. And if you keep growing, you're going to have more to give. And when you're growing and giving is when life is magnificent. It doesn't matter how many statues, Oscars they give you or how much money you have in the bank. We've all seen people have all those things and I get the phone call because they're depressed. So it's really an inner game. And I think that's what's missing for us today. Everybody's focusing on the outside world. Hell, there's a lot of things in the outside world you'll never be able to control. You can influence, but you can't control it. Your mind, your emotions, your body. You have 100% control over what you do with these things. And that's where the game is won. You win the inner game, then you win the outer game.
We progress by creating progress.
The way it happened was really very simple and straightforward. Mr. Schoaf simply took me aside one day and said, Jim, you have enough talent and intelligence to really accomplish a lot in life, but you just don't have enough reasons to make it happen. When I heard that, something clicked inside my head. This was truly a key insight, a turning point in my life. I had always doubted if I had enough ability to be successful, but suddenly I realized that having enough ability was not the problem. The problem was having enough reasons. If you're like most people, having to is a lot stronger than wanting to. But often, and especially when you're young, that difference isn't always clear until someone points it out to you. But of course, different people are motivated by different things. In order to be successful, you need this very internal, very personal, very unique thing called strong character.
So you have to build yourself from the ground up, and that's scary for a lot of people, but it's also a massive opportunity. You can decide if you want to be a famous musician, or a nice sensitive poet, or a painter, or a kickboxing world champion, or a businessman. You get to decide on all the different characters in the video game. You can choose, who do I want to be? And then if you actually try, you can become it. Isn't that amazing? You can wake up and go, you know what? I want to be this kind of guy. I knew who I wanted to be. I wanted to be the dude pulling up in the Lambo, 3 a.m, gets out. Everyone's like, who is this big, strong, rich dude? I wanted to be that man, so I became it. And if you don't want that, if you want to go be a musician and play guitar and get a bunch of chicks and chill in Bali and smoke, whatever, go, you can choose your character and build it.
So nothing different than being in a dressing room or a bathroom when there's 2 mirrors like this. When you look down and there's an infinite number of yous that go that way. There's some synchronicity, there's some change, there's some uniqueness. And every time we do the work, we keep moving into another dimension. So then, all possibilities exist in the eternal present moment, and they exist as thought, because the quantum is the realm of thought. So it's not like you create anything there. You just become aware of what already exists. You put your attention on it, and you begin to experience it in that realm, whatever you experience in that realm beyond space and time. And you can begin to emotionally embrace. That must manifest in three-dimensional reality. In this space and time, it's the law. Now, getting people to do that and getting better at it, they're starting to see that people can begin to create from the field instead of from matter. So yeah, possibilities for health exist. Possibilities for wealth exist.
Nothing is so embarrassing as watching someone do something that you said could not be done. People who embrace possibility thinking are capable of accomplishing tasks that seem impossible because they believe in solutions. When you believe you can do something difficult and you succeed, many doors open for you. Big thinkers are specialists in creating positive, forward-looking, optimistic pictures in their own minds and in the minds of others. If you embrace possibility thinking, your dreams will go from molehill to mountain size, and because you believe in possibilities, you put yourself in position to achieve them. The winners in life think constantly in terms of I can, I will, and I am. Losers, on the other hand, concentrate their waking thoughts on what they should have done or what they don't do. If you believe you can't do something, then it doesn't matter how hard you try, because you've already lost. If you believe you can do something, you have already won much of the battle. The first step in becoming a possibility thinker is to stop yourself from searching for and dwelling on what's wrong with any given situation. Sports psychologist Bob Rotella recounts, I tell people, if you don't want to get into positive thinking, that's okay. Just eliminate all the negative thoughts from your mind, and whatever's left will be fine. If possibility thinking is new to you, you're going to have to give yourself a lot of coaching to eliminate some of the negative self-talk you may hear in your head. When you automatically start listing all the things that can go wrong or all the reasons something can't be done, stop yourself and say, don't go there. Then ask what's right about this. That will help to get you started. And if negativity is a really big problem for you and pessimistic things come out of your mouth before you've even thought them through, you may need to enlist the aid of a friend or family member to alert you every time you utter negative ideas. One of the best ways to cultivate a possibility mindset is to prompt yourself to dream one size bigger than you normally do. Let's face it, Most people dream too small. They don't think big enough. Henry Curtis advises, make your plans as fantastic as you like, because 25 years from now they will seem mediocre. Make your plans 10 times as great as you first planned, and 25 years from now you will wonder why you did not make them 50 times as great. If you push yourself to dream more expansively, to imagine your organization one size bigger, to make your goals at least a step beyond what makes you comfortable, you will be forced to grow. And it will set you up to believe in greater possibilities. Most people want their lives to keep improving, yet they value peace and stability at the same time. People often forget that you can't improve and still stay the same. Growth means change. Change requires challenging the status quo. If you want greater possibilities, you can't settle for what you have now. When you become a possibility thinker, you will face many people who will want you to give up your dreams and embrace the status quo. Achievers refuse to accept the status quo. As you begin to explore greater possibilities for yourself, your organization, or your family, and others challenge you for it, other possibility thinkers across the country and around the world are thinking about curing cancer, developing new energy sources, feeding hungry people, and improving quality of life. They are challenging the status quo against the odds. And you should too.
In this life, there will always be obstacles. There will always be challenges. There will always be giants. What has defeated you? What is your giant? Name it. Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it insecurity? Is it doubt? This is the last day you are going to allow this giant to defy you.
All of us are in like a little sailboat. And it's not the blowing of the wind that determines your destination. It's the set of the sail. It's not the blowing of the wind that determines your income. It's not the blowing of the wind that determines your fortune. It's the set of the sail.
Many of us are not able to move forward and develop and manifest our greatness because we spend so much time looking back or worrying about the future. Seize the moment. See, you cannot go into the future and manifest your greatness when you have various things in your life that's blocking you.
Here's the most important one of all. Don't doubt yourself. If I've got miracle working power to change my life, so do you. If I've got the ability to change, so do you. If I've got the ability to read, so do you. If I can discover, so can you. If I can grow, you can grow.
Long journey, long dark night, but when you hold on to your dream, don't let anybody kill it in you. Just hold on to that dream. When it doesn't make sense to anybody, including you sometimes, just hold on. Once you give yourself an opportunity to try and to stretch, you'll find out you can do more than you could ever begin to imagine. See, you're worried about the things you don't have. You're worried about the things people say about you. But if you build it, they will come. And you love it, it'll grow. So you want to have some other plans going on. You want to become creative. See, most people don't keep their commitments because when something goes wrong, they just stop. They don't have a contingency plan. So they don't know what to do next. You do know what to do. You got genius in you. Challenge yourself, push yourself, make yourself come up with something. Use your imagination. And what you will find is that you know more than you realize that you know. That you're more creative and more resourceful than you realize that you are.
Now, there are laws. The law of belief says that your beliefs become your realities. But the things that you believe may not necessarily be true. However, if you believe them intensely enough, they will become true for you.
Would you say it's smart to focus on one goal? I mean, if you're sick, obviously it's smart to focus on getting healthy. But if you have a regular life and you say, you know, I would like to have the classical stuff, more money, more wealth, more love, more joy. Would you say in those meditations it's smart to focus on different goals, or should it rather be the big goal, like a big vision I have for my life, that all the steps on the way are just marks I will pass at one point?
Well, let's answer that on two levels too, because people come to our workshops for all different reasons. Some people come because they're sick. Some people come because they want more money. Some people want a new job, a new opportunity, a new career, a new relationship. Some people want the mystical. The people come for all kinds of reasons. To me, I don't care. What I care about is that they latch on to a vision and they learn how to create. Whatever drives them to that elegant moment where they're so present and so passionate about what they want, and they have a clear intention, a clear vision, a coherent brain, and they have an elevated emotion combined with it, that they create heart coherence. And now they're broadcasting a whole new energy into the field. And whatever we broadcast into the field is our experiment with destiny. So I want people to know the how. Because we have plenty of people that have made millions and millions of dollars that were living in the backseat of their car or filed bankruptcy. We have plenty of people that were stage 4 cancer, serious health conditions that are healed. But really, people think they come for those reasons, but we come for wholeness. That's why we come. That when we feel so whole and so happy with ourselves, so connected to something greater, if you feel wholeness, it's impossible for you to want. How can you want when you're whole? When you're whole, you feel like you have everything. So I want people to reach that point where they feel so whole that they no longer want, and that's when the magic happens. Teaching them that allows them to understand that when they come back to their senses, they open their eyes. They're not looking for the experience. They feel like it's already happened. And if you feel like it's already happened, why would you be looking for it? Then, if your body is conditioned emotionally into that future, you're not separate from the energy of your future. You're connected to it. But the moment you get in traffic and you start getting angry, you get on the line at the bank and you start getting impatient, or you're sitting in a staff meeting and you start judging a coworker, you just disconnected from the energy of the future, and now you're back to the energy of your past, and you've done nothing wrong. You just lost your connection to the future. Now, the importance of that is to notice that you're disconnected. And if you say to me, well, that person made me feel this way and think this way, I'd say, oh my gosh, you're back to the unconscious program of being a victim in your life. The victim is saying that someone or something is controlling how I think and feel. But a person who's producing outcomes in their life, all of a sudden they say, wow, the way I'm thinking and feeling is creating outcomes in my life. Now I'm a creator in my life, and now I believe less that I'm a victim of my life.
Most people are living their lives in a reactive state, automatic reactive state. So we're in this repetitive cycle over and over and over and over. We react to the same things, we behave the same way, we eat the same foods, we dress the same way, just to maintain that homeostasis and comfort zones. And we've never been taught. Like, when were we taught it as kids? Like, here are your 6 core emotions. Here's the way you deactivate, your stress center or fear center. Here's how you activate your imagination center. Here's how you have more focus. Here's how you develop a new belief. Here's how you develop a new habit. Here's how you release one. We haven't been taught that. We've been told they're important things, but we haven't been given the tools. And then we haven't practiced the tools enough to be able to make them part of our unconscious competence brain.
Let's say you've been ill long enough, and you've had health problems long enough, and you say, that's it. That's over. I'm going to now start a program. You don't have to really revolutionize your whole health life. Just start with an apple a day. You say, well, is it that simple to change your health life? And the answer is yes. The key is just to start. Come on, you don't have to radically do something. You can gain momentum and make changes as you go. Just start. Here's what happens when you start a new direction. Self-esteem starts to accelerate.
Procrastination is the lion growing in you. I'm going to tell you what I mean in a moment. But essentially, you're becoming a man and you're moving into a new phase in your life where you're beginning to say, no, I won't.
Every time you set this big goal, you never get it accomplished because you never break it up in manageable pieces. This is it. I'm talking about procrastinating. You still have time. Don't quit. Don't give up. You still have time. You can do it. You can make it happen, but you can't do it procrastinating. You can't do it talking about it, all right? So I just want to go back and recap because I want to make sure you hear what I'm saying. But I dare you, I double dare you to do exactly what you said you were going to do when the year started because it's not too late. You may be neck deep in what seems to be a catastrophic storm of chaos, but I pray that in this moment, you will find the calm, the peace, the hope, the faith, the courage, the expectancy you need to live and not die, to move up and not stay where you are. You get what you see. And that is the formula for expectancy. Your expectation is what you believe is about to happen. And for many of you, you have been so traumatized by the past that your expectations are so diminished.
Now go after it. But understand there's going to be some rocky times. There's going to be a lot of hills that you're going to have to climb. There's going to be a lot of obstacles that are going to try to stand in your way. But you don't have to take these obstacles and hold on to them. Utilize everything you have in your heart and in your mind and in your soul and connect with these things so that you can get the most of your life.
To sustain motivation, you have to do two things you probably already know. First, you have to focus. Now, before you turn off the video or go to the next one, listen to this. A lot of people have that initial desire, but they don't look at their goals every single day. They don't revisit every single, let's say, Sunday and say, how did I do this week? How did I do in my health, in my relationships, in my career? How did I do with my finances? How did I do with any other goals that I set up? You have to have that daily discipline to look and focus on what you're doing and that weekly review. You also have to have the ability to avoid distractions. One of the reasons people love my book, The Motivation Manifesto, is this teaches you how to set boundaries, how to say no, how to push away distraction to own your life again. But here's the deal. When you're focusing on something and you're really dialing in, it also brings your full presence into something. So you perform at higher levels. The second thing you need outside of focus is sane motivation is everyday effort. It's the reason you have to set up habits. It's the reason you have to have a daily routine, a morning routine. It's the reason you have to make sure you have a checklist of to-dos each day. I know that sounds so basic, but here's the funny thing. A lot of people think they'll have motivation one day, then they'll put the effort out. It's like motivation first, they think, then effort comes. The motivation inspires the effort, right? It's actually the opposite in the science of motivation. It's with daily effort that motivation comes. I like to tell people this. With momentum comes more motivation. Don't wait for the motivation to go out and take action. Actually, take action first, because just a little bit of progress, a few quick wins, drops dopamine into the brain. We start feeling good and rewarded for our behavior, and suddenly we find ourselves more motivation. So here's the thing. Set 3 goals each day. Knock off each of those 3 goals. If you just did that each and every single day, you'd start feeling more personal power and you start getting ahead.
you take steps in this direction, you take steps in that direction, sort of get lost along the way, and sometimes you fall down. And it's not the end until you've given up. And just the fact that you're here should persuade you that you have another chance to get back up. There's still hope.
All of us have patterns. Some serve us well, some don't. That's just a natural fact. Most of it's because of childhood experiences, the meaning that we gave things, the skills that we gained or didn't gain. So what? The key is start right now. Get better today. Get better tomorrow. Get better the next day. Over the course of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, you have more mental control. You have more emotional control. You have more direction on your behaviors. And when you learn what you should be doing, holy mackerel, you could be healthier, happier, wealthier, and more.
And all you've got to do to start now the process of life change is start somewhere. And it doesn't even matter where. You can start with good health or you can start with something else. The key is to start by saying, I'm going to start the process in each category of finding by my own research. And where you start doesn't matter. The process of life change can start with as simple a process as an apple a day, which means I'm on the road to cleaning up neglect.
Every man that put his all into something and he fell short. Well, just like those kids sitting in those elementary schools, when that teacher asks them to do something and they can't do it, they quit, they pout, they cry, but not us. We're gonna do it until we get it right. We're gonna do it until we write the end of our movie the way we want it to end.
Promotion is coming. Good breaks are coming. Promises you've been standing on. Dreams you've been praying about. Lack is not your destiny. Constantly struggling, barely getting by is not the end of your story. These light afflictions are for a moment. The adversity is temporary. The glory is eternal.
See, if we have some skill, some ability, some knowledge, or some product, then the only thing that's between us and what we want to generate is our willingness to expend the energy to produce the results that we want.
And when you take full ownership of that and realize that your life is an exact reflection of your choices, of the things that you could control and what you did with them, then everything begins to change.
What are your visions of yourself? You see, all of this business about if you get tired, how many of you get tired? You don't have to get tired. I don't get tired. When it's time to go to sleep, there's no insomnia in my life, and there doesn't have to. Insomnia is one more of those things where you start telling yourself, I'm not going to be able to sleep. Look, you've been out, you're partying, you're at a convention, you're in New Orleans, get into bed, let's say, and it's 2 o'clock, and you know you got to get up at 6. You look at your watch. All right, it's 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock? 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock. 6, 1, 2, 3. If I were to fall asleep right this second, and I'm not even close, all right, I'd only get 4 hours of sleep. Here it comes. Ready? Great imagery now. Boy, am I going to be tired tomorrow. Whew! Oh, I'm going to be tired. That'll keep you awake for at least an hour, all right? Your body just kind of goes, oh my God, and you start interfering with it. Your mind starts programming you, all right? Now, an hour later, you look at your watch and say, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5. 3 hours. Now you upgrade your neurotic expectations for yourself. I'm going to be a zombie tomorrow. And then when you get out of bed and the alarm goes off, if you sleep, what do? You start counting backwards now. 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. You put your body instantly on droop. Kind of put your eyes sort of on bag. Don't expect anything out of me today. I didn't get any sleep last night or whatever. Until someone comes along halfway through the day and says, you know, we got a game tonight and we're going to go out and have a few drinks and we're going to, hey, that's great. Yeah, I think I'd like to do that. It's a choice. You ever notice how tired you get when you got something unpleasant to do? You know, you look at the lawn equipment and look at the roller and the edger. You go lie down for 3 or 4 months. I'm really tired. It's a choice. If you just tell yourself, I don't need to think tired thoughts. When I tell you that the kind of visualization I'm talking about can end asthma, asthma is an easy one. Anybody who's suffered with asthma, and I've had a stepson who's had it, he holds on to it and he believes it and he wants to hang on to it, and that's it. He's going to have asthma until he doesn't want it anymore. And I tell him that and he just gets mad because he wants to hold on to his asthma. And he gets a lot of attention for it, and he gets a lot of people to remind him that he's sickly and that he can't do this and do that. And so he gets a lot of positive sort of affirmation for his negative reaction. I have seen people eliminate a lot more than asthma. When people ask me, what kind of a therapist are you? Where do you fit in? You know, are you a behaviorist? Are you a rational emotive therapist? Are you Freudian psychoanalyst? I call myself a do-do therapist. And I really mean that. A do-do therapist is someone who believes in the great secrets of the universe. One of the great secrets that you'll read in Icus is that I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. And not one moment before. I mean, not one of you who knows how to swim by watching somebody else do it or listening to somebody else give you instruction. You know how to swim because you got in the water and you flop around and you fill your mouth up a few times and then eventually you do. And you know something? What do you think is the difference in your physical skills between the moment before when you couldn't swim and the moment afterwards when you did let go and could swim for the first time? You think your physical skills are any different? They're exactly the same. We all know how to swim. Now you believe you can. And when you believe you can, you just do it. You just do it.
Succeeding in life is not usual. It's unusual. You need to develop some unusual habits to earn the outstanding rewards. A friend of mine said, a standard education will get you standard results. You want a lot more than standard results? You need to become a lot more than a standard person.
You have to act and decide simultaneously. So what does that do, you see? That puts up a very curious problem, which in its own turn becomes a bind. This is true likewise of any sort of shooting, pistol shooting as well. That if you aim, if you decide and then fire, you're apt to do things like pulling the trigger instead of squeezing. All kinds of wrong things are done. And you're always a moment too late if you decide first. To try and act quickly enough so that you overtake the preliminary decision. To try not to decide first. And that is an impossible problem.
We intend to when the idea strikes us. We intend to when the emotion is high. But now if you don't translate that into action fairly soon, now the intent starts to diminish. And a month from now it's cold. A year from now, can't be found. So act. Set up a discipline when the emotions are high and the idea is strong and clear and powerful. That's the time to set up the discipline. Somebody talks about good health and you're stirred. Right. You need to get a book on nutrition. Get the book before the idea passes and before the emotion gets cold. Go for the book. Start the library. Start the process.
And you know you ought to do this. You really want to do this, but you don't know why you haven't done it. Now, first of all, we know that this is not easy. Because in order to begin to reinvent your life, you've got to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort. I think that among the things that prevent us from acting is the fear of failure. And if you've already failed, you don't want to fail again. The pain of that, the disappointment, the fear of loss is another thing. Because many times when we do those things that we know we need to do, we feel that we might lose somebody that we love very much and care about. We don't want to hurt anybody. Many of us don't act because we want other people's approval. We want everybody to like us and to accept us. And that's not possible.
Life should be an exciting adventure,
It should never be a bore. A man should live fully, be alive. He should be glad to get out of bed in the morning. He should be doing a job he likes to do because he does it well.
The fifth law of happiness is the law of expression, which states that whatever is expressed is impressed, and whatever is impressed is expressed. Whatever you say, either to yourself or out loud, is impressed into your subconscious mind. And whatever is impressed into your subconscious mind will ultimately be expressed in your thoughts, your feelings, your conversation, and your actions. The more emotion that you use to express any thought or idea, the more deeply it will be impressed into your subconscious mind, and the more rapidly it will be re-expressed in your life. Whatever you say with conviction triggers thoughts, ideas, and actions consistent with those words, so be sure to pick your words carefully. When you think of a challenge or a goal, and you repeat to yourself the words, "I can do it, I can do it, I can do it," you trigger all kinds of feelings and actions that propel you forward toward doing the things that will enable you to achieve the goal. The sixth law of happiness is the law of reversibility. It states that just as your feelings determine your actions also determine your feelings. This is a remarkable and powerful law that says that even if you don't feel a particular way, such as self-confident or happy, if you act as if or pretend that you have the feelings already, the actions themselves will have a backflow effect and generate the emotions consistent with them. When you act in a certain way, the actions themselves trigger thoughts, images, feelings, and attitudes that are consistent with those actions. You can, in effect, control much of the content of your mental and emotional life simply by moving your body in such a way that it's consistent with the way in which you wish to think and feel. The seventh law of happiness is the law of visualization, which states that ideas and images tend to awaken emotions and feelings that correspond to them. When you create clear mental pictures of yourself as happy, positive, and optimistic, these mental pictures will trigger feelings and actions that actually lead to your being happy, positive, and optimistic. One of the most helpful exercises that you can engage in is to think of a time in your life when you've been extremely happy, and to replay that experience on the screen of your mind, as though you were running a movie projector. Put yourself right into the picture and re-experience or get the feelings that go with it. You can actually make yourself happy by dwelling upon previous experiences when you've been happy.
Look to gain some perspective. And then in order to gain perspective, you got to do something that we already talked about. You've got to detach. You've got to detach from the problems or the stress that you're experiencing so that you can get that perspective of them.
Now, if the human being was like an animal and that we were programmed permanently and could never change our instincts and our responses, then we would have no hope. But the good news is that everything that we have learned, we can unlearn. That everything that has been programmed into us can be deprogrammed and can be overridden with new programming. And we say, number one, your self-concept is the master program of your subconscious mind. It's the master program. Your self-concept is your operating system. Everything that you produce on the outside is determined, modified, affected in some way by your self-concept. You cannot change what is being produced on the outside without changing your operating system.
If you don't set your mind, the enemy will set it for you. You'll wake up, think about all your problems, everything you've done wrong. I'll never break this addiction. I should have eaten better yesterday. I can't believe that coworker was rude to me. Don't start the day off negative. Don't bring yesterday's trouble yesterday's disappointment, yesterday's failures into today. Start the day afresh and anew.
I can remember being trapped inside of a negative environment that wouldn't allow me to dream, to the point that I had to set my mind free, to the point that I now dream so big, dream about me. That means if you dreaming about me. But I'm no longer selfish. I now encourage you all to please dream bigger than me. And that's how you get to the destination of living your dream. I speak into existence that you will understand the value of yourself, and you will get up and you will do more for yourself and expect less of others. In order to be successful, you have to do more for yourself and expect less of others. You have to wake up and manifest your dream. You have to get up and do the work. You got to get up and write the book. You got to get up and do the music. You want to talk about you an author? Don't tell me you an author. Just let me know when the book coming out.
You got to hear it. You can't make a difference until you make a decision. So, for real, some of you, man, you keep crying. You complaining about your job. You complaining about where you are financially. You complaining about your relationship. You complaining about your opportunities. You complaining. Listen to me. You murmuring and complaining. You complaining. Shut up. Stop complaining and do me a favor. If you want to make a difference, all you got to do is one thing. This is how you get started. You want something different? Listen to me. All you got to do is make a decision. That's it. And for those of you who've been making the wrong decision, all you got to do is make the right decision. But if you want to make a difference, make a decision. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? What I'm trying to do for you to take you to that next level is I'm trying to give you control of your life back.
It is the animal that can change the fastest to a changing environment that becomes the most dominant species the world has ever seen. It is our very nature to change. Because if you want to do something extraordinary, you have one job. Leave your fellow humans in awe.
The webs we create around ourselves need to be unwound. If you have ever untangled a ball of string, you know that yanking and pulling only makes it worse. Be gentle and patient with yourself as you untangle your own mental knots. Get help if you need it. Above all, love yourself in the process. The willingness to let go of the old is the key. When I say needing the problem, I mean that according to our particular set of thought patterns, we need to have certain outer effects or experiences. Every outer effect is the natural expression of an inner thought pattern. And to battle only the outer effect or symptom is wasted energy and often increases the problem. I am unworthy creates procrastination. If one of my inner belief systems or thought patterns is, I am unworthy, then one of my outer effects will probably be procrastination. After all, procrastination is one way to keep us from getting where we say we want to go. Most people who procrastinate will spend a lot of time and energy berating themselves for procrastinating. They will call themselves lazy and generally will make themselves out to feel they are bad persons. Resentment of another's good. I had a client who loved attention and usually came to class late so he could create a stir. He had been the baby of 18 children, and he came last on the list of getting. As a child, he watched everyone else have, while he just longed for his own. Even now, when someone had good fortune, he would not rejoice with them. Instead, he would say, "Oh, I wish I had that," or "Why don't I ever get that?" His resentment of their good was a barrier to his own growth and change. Self-worth opens many doors. A client who was 79 came to me. She taught singing, and several of her students were making television commercials. She wanted to do this, but was afraid. I supported her totally and explained, there is nobody like you. Just be yourself. I said, do it for the fun of it. There are people out there looking for exactly what you have to offer. Let them know you exist. She called several agents and casting directors and said, "I'm a senior citizen and I want to do commercials." And in a short time, she had a commercial. And since then, she's never stopped working. I often see her on TV and in the magazines. New careers can start at any age, especially if you do it for the fun of it. Self-criticizing is totally missing the mark. It will only intensify procrastination and laziness. The place to put the mental energy is into releasing the old and creating a new thought pattern. Say, I am willing to release the need to be unworthy. I am worthy of the very best in life, and I now lovingly allow myself to accept it.